All right, it's 7:02, and we'll start the Granby Conservation Commission with the Building and Board of Health applications. We have on the first one, it's the site is 108-110 Morgan Street. It's the floodplain question. And if you remember at our last meeting, we discussed that particular site in relationship to the floodplain. And the decision was that we would ask the building inspector, Greg Briggs, his opinion, because the drawing, the site drawing, I guess, the FEMA map that you found, Bill, is a little bit vague. It doesn't appear that this particular lot is in the 100-year floodplain from our observation, but because we're not the floodplain expert in town, we thought we would get Greg Briggs' opinion on this. So I don't know if, Bill, you were going to reach out to him, or if Ed Champlain was. Ed's not here, of course, but do we have an opinion tonight, or should we just move?
No, we have an opinion, Dave. I talked to Gregory at length about this, and I talked to Ed about this as well. I actually took the floodplain map, put it on my CAD system. I scaled it out very precisely. I cross-checked it against a couple other sources, and I am confident that that site is not in the floodplain.
Great. Okay, so I guess with that observation, we can release, let this go into a building permit process?
Yeah, that's my recommendation.
There's no WPA permit that they're going to file for.
That's my understanding, unless for some reason we thought there was wetlands in the area, but the floodplain, the 100-year floodplain, does not extend onto their property.
Okay. Do we, now this is not a public hearing, Janice, do we need to vote on this, or can we just?
I think you can just vote on it as, you know, that it's okay to proceed without a permit from the Concom.
Right. We don't need a formal vote. I think if there's a consensus agreement amongst the commissioners, we can just proceed that way. Does anyone have any objection to letting them go forward at this point?
I do not.
Okay. Anyone else?
By the pound or hash sign.
Let's see if Kev, could you open your microphone up to see if you're being heard loud and clear here?
Bill?
Oh, yeah, Kev, you're coming in loud and clear.
Okay, yeah, I had a hard time logging in. It was kind of slow to boot up, so sorry I'm late. But I'm actually here with the gentleman that we're talking about right now for the 6 Gold Hill. Oh, right?
Okay, well, that will be in a couple of minutes. We're talking about 108-110 Morgan Street right now, Kev. So if you would have Mr. Cabot, just please stand by for a few moments, okay? Oh, okay, Dave, excuse me. Go right ahead, David.
Okay, then well, everybody's in favor of this, so we're just going to let this move to the next stage with the building department.
Right, yeah. Greg, I think, is already in the process of
let's move on to
the building
lot 6.
Yeah, go ahead,
building. I mean, it goes to a building permit.
Excuse me, Dave.
All right.
I think 108.
I was moving to lot 6.
Okay. Yeah, let's turn it over to Kevin, Dave, because Kevin is in the room with the owner of lot 6 on Cold Hill.
Okay.
So go ahead,
Great.
Kev.
Can I come up? Sure. Okay, yeah, do you want the presenter? I got Mr. Is it Cassatt? Cabot? Yeah.
And Cindy Overville. We are yet the hi. We are yet the owner. We have an accepted offer to purchase the lot, and we've got a period of time for inspection. So we're doing our due diligence. We wanted to make sure there were no wetlands issues. The property itself did have a septic put in. I had gotten this map that you see here that I had given to Janice from the health department. It delineated that there had been some wetlands delineation on the map done previously. So we're just updating this. This was done 15 years ago, and then with a well and a septic, the property is sat like this. So we are obviously inspecting everything to do with those features and wanted to get either a commission member to walk the property if that's what's necessary and get a permit that way. I guess Janice gave me a couple of different options. And it seemed that as though hiring a wetlands consultant wasn't something that would be needed in this situation. So we wanted to present that to you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Janice, we've discussed this. Janice, why don't you speak to this project if you would, please?
Okay, so from what I can tell on the Mass Mapper, it doesn't look like there are any wetlands within 100 or 200 feet for the riverfront area of the front of the lot where he has that septic plan that also would be the area of the house. But I told him that we probably need to confirm that that was the case and perhaps do that as a site visit with the $75 fee or whatever, just to confirm where the house is and that there isn't anything nearby, any wetlands nearby.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from any other commissioner at this point?
This is Dave Dessel. I have a comment, or question actually.
Yes, go ahead,
Is this
Dave.
a new residence or is this an existing residence? Is this a new residence or is this an existing residence?
This would be a build. This is the construction of the residence. Back in 2008, that was their intent, and that as far as a well and a septic, and then it sat like that for the last 15 years. So we're
So the and the well are actually installed, and the house never was built. Is that correct? There's terrible feedback there.
One of us, would everyone check their audio, please? I think there's extraneous noise coming in. If you turn your audio gain down or your feedback loop down, because we're getting a lot of side noise and chatter. Okay, that seems to be a little bit better.
Okay,
Well,
the question I have is what is being built? Is the house being built? Is the septic being built? Is the well being installed?
septic is in place, the well is in place. We are having them tested to make sure they are still adequate and are going to pass whatever inspection for the Board of Health is going to be needed. The house has to be built. The house has not begun construction.
So if I could just chime in. Yeah, based on my seat on the Board of Health, I know there's an issue involving the condition of the septic system, which I'm sure will be resolved one way or the other. The well is on site. The only thing I recognize on that property is to the east or north, if you will. Actually, it's probably to the east. There is a wet area, which I think is possibly a feed for a perennial stream. So, Jan, as long as we're 200 feet from that wet area, I think whatever the call is on the perennial stream count will be taken out of play. But I do strongly recommend that the commissioner and Janice, one of the commissioners or two of the commissioners and Janice do a site visit as confirmation. I think that's strongly recommended.
Okay.
That would be great. Yes, at one point in time, there was a certificate of compliance for the construction of the accordance with Title V, for the design plans of the septic, based on where it was located, and there, like I said, there was a line delineated for the wetlands at that time. Although I think it's saying 100 side of
I gotta, let me just interrupt for 1 minute. Who's caller number one? Who's caller 01? We got to find the source of this feedback.
Whatever it is, Bill, it quieted right down.
Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mute my microphone. It might be. Kevin, would you turn your mic on, please? Okay.
Yeah,
could
so,
you-
Bill, unfortunately, it got better because I muted my mic.
I think it might be Kevin's mic.
It's
Kev, would you be kind enough to mute your microphone?
yes.
I think that's the source, Dave.
Oh, it's at the library, in other
Yeah,
words.
so what Kevin's going to have to do is, Kev, you were getting a lot of feedback. I know that building has absolutely horrible acoustics. I don't know if there's a way you can lower your mic gain or do something to avoid getting reverb on your system, but certainly when you want to chat, open up your mic, but don't open your mic, Kevin, until you want to talk, because I think the feedback is coming in through your unit.
Okay, I just unmuted. I turned down the volume significantly,
Good,
about as low
good.
as I can.
Good. I'm sure that was
Actually,
probably
it's better, Kevin.
very good.
Much better.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead, folks. Go ahead and proceed.
All right, so if I could repeat, we're talking about Lot 6 on Cold Hill. There's an existing septic system and a well that was installed about 15 years ago. The house was never built, but now the owner of the property wants to construct the house for a new owner, for a family. And the question is coming in where the construction of the house will be in relationship to this wetlands, because the septic system is already installed and that's the closest to the wetlands, but that's outside the 100-foot buffer, according to the maps provided. So our decision tonight is we will do a site inspection to confirm where the edge of wetlands is in relationship to the installed septic field. And that'll be coordinated by our team. Janice will take leadership on that.
Yes, and Dave, to add, also the location of the proposed house should be discussed as well in the field with Mr. Cabot.
All right.
And it's in the plans, and Janice has a copy of the plans. I'm looking at the hard copy right now.
Okay, very good. Okay, so Mr. Cabot, if you'd be so kind, get a hold of Janice by telephone or email, and we'll set up a site visit, okay?
Great. Should I leave you a check here?
Yeah, check $75, Town of Granby, and put Conservation Commission site visit in the subject line.
That check actually goes to Kathy, right, Bill?
Yes.
Okay.
And Kev, make a note of the check number if you would, please. Actually, what is the check number?
Just gonna write it now.
Yeah, Dave, you can take that.
Okay.
We may as well get this while the iron's hot.
That's true.
Yeah, otherwise it'll take forever to get the check number. Okay, so assuming this goes forth, what's our next agenda item, folks?
It's 7:16 and we only had 2 building and Board of Health applications. So we've published that the actual public hearings will occur at 7:30.
Okay.
So, should we move into them or go and do some administrative duties?
Oh, no, I would go through our administrative duties, Dave, while we've got about 13 minutes. That'd be great.
Yep. Okay. With that, First one is commentary. We're still carrying the dumping leaves in wetlands. I don't think that's going anywhere. Is it, Janice?
No, I can change it to dumping yard waste in general or something like that, but I haven't done it yet. Just modify the majority of the other stuff.
Yeah, I just leave the commentary open because that's a general,
Okay.
potpourri for critical topics that aren't involved with a specific project. So we'll just leave the commentary open on the next agenda.
Okay. We've got posting. The next meeting is July 12th, 2022.
Dave, can I interrupt?
Yep, that's good.
Somebody say something. Then the next one is approving the minutes, and I thank Bill and Janice for giving me assistance on preparing the minutes. I pushed them out this afternoon. I hope everybody has a copy of the latest minutes. If we could review them and approve them in the next few minutes, that would be great.
Okay.
Dave, I think Kevin was trying to reach you, to talk to you.
Yeah, go ahead, Kev.
Sorry, I have two more guests here, two more walk-ins. We could, get them.
Did they board a building permit? Yes.
Actually, we have one. The first one that walked in is, here for, representing Forge Pond, the water chestnut removal program. Ms. Dolan is trying to find out if she needs to renew an RDA, because on the form it says it needs to be renewed every 3 years, with the exception, let me flip to the page, that, come on, okay. With the exception that there's a vegetation management plan, which is valid for the duration of the plan.
Kevin, before we get into any conversation, people that walk in, we need their name and address. So could you supply the name and address, please?
Yes. Dory Gollin, 27 Forge Pond. Got that, Dave?
I am writing it as you said it. And this is regarding an RDA that was issued 3 years ago?
Yes.
Okay.
Is the original?
I don't think that is.
And it was in reference to, what was the subject again?
Water chestnut removal.
Okay. I will ask Amanda or Janice or Bill if you could answer that question for her.
Just historically, I believe several years ago, there was a party affiliated with the Commonwealth that went out on Forge Pond using a vessel. I think it was an airboat actually, and they did do a water chestnut eradication. They pulled up plenty of water chestnut. I don't know how many tons, but they did get a permit for that a few years ago. And I believe maybe 5 or 10 years ago, they did it again. So they've done this every several years. So the question is, I don't think we've been approached by any third party for the water chestnut removal. So if you'd be so kind, Kevin, ask Miss Dory if she's been approached by a third party to execute the water chestnut removal program.
I know we are working with the Connecticut River Conservancy. We work with them to do it. Let's keep track of how much we're removing, and it's throughout all of Massachusetts along the Connecticut River that they do this program.
Oh, okay, Dory, who signed the permit application for the water chestnut removal several years ago?
You mean who on the commission? Who you guys, or who applied?
Janice, could you put this in your things to do list, please?
Sure, to track it down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to go through our files. I'm sure we have paperwork on this. And I think we did it in an unorthodox way. We unorthodoxly permitted this several years ago. I don't remember any of the particulars, but I remember we went around in circles and we finally came up with a workable game plan. And I'm guessing they probably want to do the same thing this time. So if you could work with Dory and try to locate that previous paperwork, maybe we can follow that model going forward.
Okay,
Hey, Bill.
so, go ahead.
Here in front of me. This was
Go ahead, Eric.
so this original form, I have the copy here. And, we're actually the applicant, the Conservation Commission.
Okay, that's what it was then. Okay, that's what we had done then. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to discuss and interface with the party actually doing the work to understand the means and methods of operation and to make sure they're going to comply with state and federal law regarding the project. So what we need to do is we have to talk to you have to get a representative, Dory, from this particular group to meet with us online, and we can reinitiate your permit, okay?
Okay, so in the meantime, are we still allowed to go out and, get volunteers and do some of this? We've been doing it for the past years on this permit.
Yeah, what's the date, what's the signature date on your last permit?
15.
Could you say the date again, please?
15th, 2019.
Okay.
What month and what day?
Yeah, what month?
May 28th.
So it just ran through its 3-year window then.
Yeah.
Yes, and remember the form says except vegetation management plans, which are valid for the duration of the plan.
Duration of what plan?
Well, that's the thing. We don't know anything about a plan, so maybe.
Yeah, I would strongly recommend have Dory have this person from this conservancy group call Janice directly, and we'll work out the details for the permit, and then we can initiate the permit at our July meeting.
Okay.
And personally, and again, the commission might not agree with me, but personally, as long as they begin the process of renewing the permit, as long as they're showing that you're renewing the permit and not just lip service, but actually working with Janice to fill out the paperwork, I would not have a problem with them beginning to pull water chestnut tomorrow morning, if you will. Again, other commissioners may disagree with me, but that's the way I feel about this.
So is that an acceptable?
Well, again, I don't know. Dave, Amanda, how do you guys feel about this?
Dave, I would agree with you, Bill. I think this is a matter of maintenance, and there's a window of opportunity here that you can't miss. So if you're ready to be cleared, this would be the time to do it, and let's get the paperwork caught up. And I thank Ms. Garland for bringing this to our attention. I think we just need to get the paperwork caught up with the activity that needs to take place.
Okay. So Dory, if you would please have Janice contact your staff person that will be working in the field, actually doing this work, so that we can get the permit refreshed for you. Okay.
Okay. All right. And is there any? You said that there was treatment on the pond a couple of years back. Do you know when or who might have done that? I never heard anything about.
Again, you'd have to go. You've got to go through the paperwork. You're going to have to go through all that paperwork in the filing board, and you can work with Janice to go through that.
So the only thing I wonder about is what methods were used before. Was it just hand pulling, or you're saying it might have been an airboat? But I assume there were no chemicals involved, just in terms of what are you approving or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think they've used copper sulfate out there for many, many, many years. I do recall years ago, and by years ago, I mean between 5 and 10 years ago, that they went out there with an airboat and maybe a skiff, and they essentially loaded the skiff up with pullings from the other craft.
We did that with the, US Fish.
So they actually physically derooted this stuff and got rid of it.
Right, and that's what we've been doing for the last, probably 5 or 6 years now that we've been working on it, so.
Okay. So I'd love to see you guys continue doing this, but please, let's get that permit refreshed. And I recommend that we do give you some slack on your your expired permit, provided again that you show due diligence in securing a brand new permit, okay?
Can I ask you?
If that's okay, Kevin, you said you have another applicant or another person in the room?
Yeah, she's actually asking another question about, any news, any development on the dam at Ford.
We have no news on engineering or construction activities on the Forge Pond Dam.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to be talking with the select board about that, just to see if they have any updates.
Good.
It's been about years, so.
Wonderful, please. And if you do get anything in the affirmative, please relay that to the commission.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is this the same person, or is this a different person that we were just talking to?
Same person, Jim.
Okay.
George Garland.
Thank you.
Now, is there another person, Kevin?
Yes.
Can we get the name and address first?
Yes, I have Michael Frignano. Michael Frignano, 12 Morgan.
All right. Could we spell Mr. Figiano's name, please?
Yes, it is Prigno.
You'll have start again, please.
Prigno.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think I'm close. All right. What's the question, comment, statement? Please.
For a barn.
Oh boy. I didn't get that close. It sounds like building permit for a bar. I don't think that's right.
It's a bar.
Kevin, could you clarify, please?
This is a building permit for a barn.
Gotcha.
Got that, Dave?
Got it. Thank you, Kevin.
Where?
12 Morgan Street, but where on the property?
It was actually approved on the plan back when the house was built in 2018. It's at the end of the driveway. I just never built it.
Did you hear that? Did you catch that?
Were there ever any plans submitted?
When I came in to build the house in March of 2018, on my that I had approved, she had drawn the barn in and the house, but I never had time to build the barn. But it's in the same as on the plot plan from 2018.
Okay. Numbers are going to the front.
is it near a wetland? Is it within the buffer zone of a wetland?
120 feet away from the 100-foot wetland buffer.
120 feet away from the 100-foot line, is that what you said?
And it's right next to an in-ground pool that was just installed.
Okay. But you have no drawings for us to look at tonight.
Hang on, let me see. Can you see that?
Not yet.
All right, so 12 Morgan property doesn't even touch the wetlands, but it's close to the back property line. So,
Boy, I see good video there, Kev.
unfortunately, I don't. I can't. I see the image, but I can't make it out.
Me neither.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I can see you right there.
I have to
Can you
get
guys-
really close. All I can see is that it's green.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, getting better.
Is there a flip like, you know, when you do a selfie?
Ah,
Oh, I see it. Very good.
Okay, okay. Is the black or the dark, is the dot the, proposed barn? Okay. And about how far is the barn from the back property line?
This is the barn right here.
Yeah,
uh-huh.
About 30 feet from the pool to the right of it, and it's about 20 feet from the end of the driveway. It's all just lawn right now.
is it a barn to support the pool?
It's not necessarily, but the pool furniture will go in it in the winter.
Yeah.
But the fence, this barn is outside the fence for the pool.
For a reference, the pool doesn't appear on our drawings, but your house does. So could you pan out a little bit so we could see a reference point? Okay, okay.
The pool is directly behind the house, about 40 feet off of the house.
Okay,
And the barn.
and this is adjacent to the pool roughly.
So obviously, if this pool was permitted and constructed, then, this barn, it shouldn't be an issue at all.
Right. Well, according to Mass Mapper, the wetland occurs at the property line, it looks like, or the rear property line. The one to the, west, I guess it would be.
Yes, back here is the 100-foot wetland buffer at this rear corner.
Okay,
Okay.
well, that's what I'm worried about. So if that's the 100-foot there, you are clearly outside of the 100-foot buffer. Do you have any other questions, Janice? Is that, I think, because it's close to the pool.
I haven't looked, I haven't tried to look on the Mass Mapper, but if that yellow line is the edge of the 100-foot buffer to the wetland that's further away, then I guess it's fine unless there's any issue about a floodplain, but we've already got the house and everything else there, so.
And this isn't, there's, Stony Brook is farther down the hill from there, so I don't think this would be in any floodplain area.
Okay, good.
And the property line, according to Mass Mapper, the property line is where any edge would be. So, and this is well up from the property line. It looks like it's closer to the house.
So what do you think, Bill?
Yeah, let me chime in. So this is 12 Morgan. Is this the very large estate lot?
It doesn't appear to be, no.
Remember we
Estate lot.
discussed a couple of projects on Morgan Street last time?
Yeah.
So is this one of them, or is this a totally new
No.
one?
This is a different, this has a house on it and it's closer to, the old Dickinson house where East Street and Morgan merge.
Okay, all right. So this is number 12. Is this the house with the Giuliano pool on it?
I can't answer that. Maybe, Mr. Prignano, maybe.
Because there's a home down there. I think it's number 12 that just had a pool installed, and we permitted the pool last year.
Can Kevin answer that?
Kev, are you there? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Mass GIS myself here.
Yeah.
Give me a moment. You know, I like the Oliver much better than this new system, frankly.
Yeah, well, it's a little cumbersome, that's for
It
sure.
really is. It really is. You know,
But the mass mapper does show the 12 Morgan Street house. I'm kind of familiar with it. It's in a row of homes, Bill, so it's not where we were looking at earlier.
okay, stand
That's
by.
farther down Morgan.
Yeah. Oh, why is this not working?
It's actually a smaller lot. The lots around it are bigger.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear us?
Oh, now we can, yes.
What's wrong, Kevin? Kevin's phone died on him, so we're using my phone right now.
Oh, thank you. You
Not a
sound
lot
really
of
good.
technology over here.
Now there's a fellow in your area that has a Giuliano pool. Where are you located with respect to his house? Oh, that's
me.
you. Okay. So you
Yes.
permitted through us 2 years ago.
Exactly, to build the house.
Okay. So,
And that plan, the barn was on Bob Sheehan's plan. I had him draw it on there. I just never built it.
okay.
So when I came here back in 2018, it was signed off for the house and the barn. I just never built the barn at the time.
Okay. All right. Let me type this in. So it's 12 Morgan Street.
Yeah. For Granby. I think if it was on the site plan that was approved, this is already an approved project.
I think it is. Because how many years ago did you receive the RDA for the swimming pool?
The swimming pool was just back in October of 21.
Okay, but what's the date of your RDA that we issued to you? What's the date of that?
Giuliano's did that back in September or October last year.
Okay.
My house was March 20th, I believe, of 2018. This plot plan that I'm showing you, if you can see on the camera,
Yeah.
there wasn't a pool, obviously, at the time, but the barn right here, this F, was on the plan in March 20th, 2018. I was trying to find the minutes online, but apparently there's only 2 meetings of 2018 online.
Yeah, okay. So the question is, with respect to the rear of your house,
Yes.
which is the westmost plane of the house, how many feet behind the rear of the house do you want to put this barn?
Right in line with the pool, so it won't go any further than the pool is going towards the rear. It's probably 150 feet from the furthest back part of the right side of the property.
Okay.
It's nowhere near the back. It's towards the driveway.
Listen, my opinion, folks, is he doesn't even need a permit for this. That's my opinion.
No, I don't think so. Well, he might need a building permit, but he doesn't need a wetland permit.
Building, but he's not getting another wetland permit.
No, he's already got.
I figured I just needed a sign off for Greg Briggs.
No,
Say I came back through here.
Okay, so other commissioners, let me just see what Amanda's on the chat right now.
We know there's so much red tape and
Let me see if Amanda's good with
What
that.
happened to Amanda? She was here.
Well, she's got bad audio. Got audio problems.
Yeah. This is new to me. Yeah. Thank you for being there. It helps. You're welcome. I haven't done much, but,
Well, you know, it's, wow. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. I didn't bother you.
nope, you're not bothering me. I'm on duty with that overheated phone.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess Amanda's off the air right now. So, we have myself,
Good evening. Nice to meet you.
Janice, any comments on this?
No, it looks like he's far enough away from the wetland. The wetland may be close to the back of his property, off his property, but he's more than 100 feet, so it's okay.
Yeah, I'm curious, what kind of foundation are you putting in?
Just the pole barn, just,
Okay, so
precast
you're just gonna auger some poles then, okay.
Right,
I have no problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, I recommend, that we sign off on this, for Mr. Briggs.
Okay, I'll second that if we need to vote. I think it's a consensus, isn't it, Bill?
Yes,
We
yes,
haven't opened the public hearing yet.
yeah. Kevin, are you good with signing off on this?
I'm good.
Okay, all right. Okay,
All right,
listen,
Bill,
I'll talk to Greg tomorrow and I'll advise Greg as to our decision.
great.
Thank you. I'm
Okay,
gonna
thank
let
you.
Kevin use my phone so you guys can continue the meeting. Oh,
Yeah,
Kevin's
okay.
back on.
Okay,
You good,
thank
Kevin?
you. Thank you.
All right, he's connecting right now. Thank you, guys.
Is Kevin's back on the phone? Are there any more people in the library for the Board of Health or building permits?
Nope, that's it.
Okay,
Very good.
so it's now 7:43. We'll formally start the public hearings. And with that, the first one is the GCC 2204 RDA. It's filed by Cotowitz Custom Homes to see whether work depicted on plans or maps reference are subject to the Wetlands Protection Act, and whether the boundaries of resource areas depicted on plans referenced are accurately delineated with regards to property located at Lot 1, Chicopee Street, and known as Map 16, Lot 10-12 in the town of Granby. And I guess Steve Riberty is here to represent Mr. Kotowitz tonight.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, hi, Steve.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is, it should be pretty simple. So this is the last lot in that little subdivision area Mr. Kotowitz is doing down at the corner of Chicopee and Carver. This lot is kind of on the back side of the lot that's on Carver Street that's currently being developed. I don't know if you can pull the plan up or not, put it on the screen. But it's got access off of Chicopee Street, off a long driveway that comes into the lot. The lot is, right now it's forested with, young white pine. It's very flat, all sandy. There's a wetland located off-site to the north on other property, and there's pretty much a 10 to 12 foot straight drop off between the topography of lot 1 and the wetlands to the north. Is a very distinctive topographic break, literally a little cliff. I've got some photos of that in the RDA application. So what Mr. Kotowitz wants to do is access the lot with the driveway off of Chicopee Street. Part of the driveway would have to go into the buffer zone a little bit to kind of swing around to the buffer zone. The house itself, the well, the septic would all be located outside of the 100-year buffer. The only thing in the buffer would be a little bit of clearing on the outer edge of it for access around the back of the house, and put the driveway in. At the closest point, the work would be 65 feet from the wetland, and most of it's going to be either outside or 75 foot is probably the average distance from the driveway to the edge of the wetland.
Right.
So I guess the question is, taking a look at this, can we permit this under an RDA? We didn't have time between the last meeting and this one to get a notice of intent plan together. But it's a pretty straightforward lot, very low potential for erosion or anything into the wetland. So I guess that's the question for the commission.
Bill, if you want, I can start. We we had a chance I had a chance to think about this project, and in relationship to the project, Steve, you presented just at the end of Maximilian Drive, this seems to be very similar. And we had taken a site visit last August, so we're somewhat familiar with how this is working. And I guess my comment is what we achieved at the Maximilian, where one of the houses had a driveway going through a buffer very similar to this. We were able to speak about angling the drive, sloping the drive to a water garden so that obviously during construction you can minimize any flow, but our concern also is flow from cars and everything else flowing into the wetland. So this is just an RDA. We can't see any of that. Plus, you've not presented any drawings of how this might be done. So could we ask you to do a notice of intent on this property?
That's your call as the commission. We just didn't know if we could do this under an RDA given the short time frame. I don't know how long it would take to put a notice of intent. A drawing together is something that I wouldn't do. I mean, I could do this level of graphic with GIS, but a real engineer drawing with topography and grading on it would have to obviously be surveyed to do. But ultimately, that's your call. We wanted to see if we could do it under an RDA. I had most of the information I had to pull together for a notice of intent anyway. Just have to repackage it for a notice of intent that I did for the RDA. So it's not a huge lift on that part. It's just timing for Mr. Kotowitz. And just the simplicity of the site. It's this is fairly straightforward. That other site on Maximilian was pretty flat. This one's even flatter, so the chance of anything flowing towards that wetland and getting there is non-existent.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if Amanda's not in the room at the moment, but Janice or Bill, you both attended the August walking of the site last year. Any opinions for Mr.
The only
Ryder?
concern I had, Dave, is I'm not convinced exactly where the road's going or the house or the leach field. So absent knowledge of specific site features, the only thing I can say is an NOI would provide guidance as to what's going to be on the site, and it would also give us sign-off potential going forward as to a certificate of compliance. Again, I'd be uncomfortable approving under an RDA right now because, again, I don't have enough background information as to what's actually going to be built on the site.
Unfortunately,
have you looked into this at all?
This is Janice. So there is a plan at the end of the RDA. He had shown us a simpler one last month and had done more work on it. And it does show the driveway, the house, and the Title V behind the house. Mike, and where the driveway is in relation to the 100 and the 50-foot buffer.
Unfortunately, Jan, that drawing in the RDA is never, it has not been distributed. I never got a copy of it. No. Well, I never got a copy of it, I guess, is the most important. So if it was distributed, I didn't get one.
Can you pull it up on the screen? I don't know whoever's in control of the meeting. I don't know who can pull things up.
Well, Amanda's the only one that I know that can pull things up. Unfortunately, she's not in the room. So.
Yeah. Well, let me check my files to see if, again, it's probably ended up in a spam folder somewhere.
Maybe submitted this the end of May, and so I had sort of lost track of it because it was right after our last meeting. So it did come back up again when we were putting the agenda together, and I'll have to check the emails. But I thought that it had gotten sent out back in the end of May when it gets buried, and I thought it had been again. I had a question, Steve, about that plan. It shows limit of clearing, and the limit of clearing seems to go up to maybe like the 60 to 75 foot buffer, something like that.
Yeah, we were trying to give him just a little room around the side of the house to build it.
Okay.
Is this known as Lot 1?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, okay, I found the document.
Yeah, the last page of the RDA PDF is the plan.
Okay, there it is. So Steve, have you staked out the driveway on 50-foot centers on the center line of the driveway? Is that staked out in the field?
No, I hadn't done that. We didn't know if you were going to do a field walk or not, so I hadn't staked it out yet.
Okay.
I would have surveyors do that if we were going to get to that point.
Are the flags that are shown on the plan, are those available? Have those been surveyed in by a land surveyor?
I did it with my GPS, so I've got plus or minus 3 feet when I was out there. So
Okay.
with that error, it's still outside of the property boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And I surveyed the corner, which shows up on there as corner, and that came up right on the
Yeah.
pin was there, and it lined up perfectly with the lot line, just for control.
To the 50-foot buffer line, to the wetland line, tell me something about the change in elevation between those 3 points.
None. It's flat. From the where it says corner to wetland 12 is where it drops straight down, because the corner is right on the edge of where the excavation happened to make that wetland on the north side. The wetland's an old gravel pit that's now filled in.
That drop, Steve, you said is significant. It's like 5 or 6 feet or greater.
Yeah, it's more. It's 12 feet.
That's okay. All right. Based on that.
Yeah.
I would recommend, let's NOI this one then.
Okay. Want to make a motion to that effect, Bill, then?
Any other comments from any other commissioners? Kevin, do you have any comment on this, sir?
No, no comment.
Okay, Kev, I think your telephone in that Carnegie building's the source of the feedback. So if you're not speaking, if you'd be kind enough to mute your microphone when you're not speaking, that would be great. Okay, thank you.
I've got
So
one.
Kev has no comments. I made a motion that we require a NOI for this project. Dave, any other comments?
There's none on my side, Bill.
Okay, Janice?
Nope, I'm okay.
Okay, Amanda, are you available by telephone? Let me see if she's on the chat room. Hold on. Let me see here. No, I guess she lost signal totally. Steve, I know this is going to be somewhat burdensome to you, but do you understand our point here?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I told Alan it was a toss up if we were going to get this or not. I decided.
Yeah. You know, again, like you said, if there was no earth and slope, no earth and slope of granular material, then we might see otherwise. But again, given the fact that you got a 8, 10, 12 foot drop off, we got to be careful. We got to be careful with that. So I move that we require an NOI for Lot 1, School Street. Or Chicopee Street.
No, this is Chicopee Street, Bill.
Chicopee Street. Okay.
Dave will second the motion, or Kevin will second the motion.
Okay, Kevin second. Any further discussion? I see Kevin opened up his mic there. Kev, any other comment?
No comments.
Okay. So all in favor of requiring a NOI, do so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? None heard. Okay, Steve, hopefully we'll see you on, in a month or so, or maybe if you can't make July, August at the very latest, okay?
Yeah, it shouldn't take too long. I do have one question. Now that after you saw the plan, would a plan of that level be acceptable for you guys as the NOI, or would you want like a surveyed plan with topo? Granted, the topo's not crazy out there. It's pretty flat, but
Well, again, given the fact that you've got a significant drop off, at least have Ed Chapdelaine or whoever's doing your surveying, at least do a limited topo in the area of concern.
all right. No, I just wanted to know the level of detail we wanted to show.
I don't think you have to survey every square foot of the lot, but again, areas within that 100-foot buffer, areas near the driveway, areas near the home. The leach field's obviously on the other side of the lot, so I wouldn't worry about the leach field.
All right, no, sounds good.
Any comments on your side?
Yeah.
Dave?
Okay, I have no questions, no.
Okay, so that's what we'd like. Well, you have a survey, you have a breakout survey plan, right? A subdivided survey plan, don't you, Steve, to work off of?
Yeah, Alan's got that.
Yeah, just have Alan give that to Ed, and Ed can shoot some grades for us, and we'll be all set.
Yeah,
But what I would
exactly.
ask you to do is do the same thing you did at Maximilian, which was very good practice. Have him stake out the driveway, put a few stakes in the ground for the corners of the house, and then we'll have a fine idea what's going on when we do our site visit.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thanks, Steve. Good to see you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank
bye.
you, Steve.
Thank you.
So from that bill, we'll move on to the second item. It's GCC 22-03. The NOI number is 165-0352. It's filed by Christopher Aldridge for a proposed demolish of barn, which is located in the bank of Bachelor Brook. Prior to demolition, sediment and erosion control will be installed. All debris will be removed from the site with the exception of the stone foundation, which will be brought down to grade and left on site. With regards to property located at 49 Aldridge Street and known as map 1-C-8 in the town of Granby. Now, is there anybody here representing the project tonight? None. And we did send an answer letter, I guess. Bill, Jan published it June 13th, which was yesterday, to Ward Smith. So
Right.
maybe he's responding to that. Okay.
Yeah, excuse me, Dave. Here's what's transpired. John Jeffers of the building record, American or Associated Building Record, called me this afternoon stating that he's in process of hiring a civil engineer to take care of a couple of the laundry list items that Janice prepared for us, a very well-written letter. And hopefully he'll be back to us in a month. Unfortunately, Ward can never attend these meetings because Ward is chair of the commission up in Wendell, Mass. And Wendell just happens to meet on the first Tuesday of the month, as we do, at 7 o'clock.
Well, we're in the second Tuesday, but I guess he
The
leaves on
second Tuesday, yeah, the second Tuesday. So the point is, they've got to gain the services of a registered civil engineer to prepare some documentation for us. And I do recommend at this time, in conversation with Mr. Jeffers, that we move to continue this until July.
Okay, I'll second that. We have all those in favors, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Guess that's it. All in favor, and no anybody opposed. So that's a unanimous vote, Bill.
Yeah.
So let's move to July.
Yep. Not a very forceful vote, but it did the job.
The
Okay.
next, and I know Mr. Walker is in the room, so the next project is continued. GCC 22-05. It's an RDA filed by Matt Walker to see whether the work in area depicted on plans referenced and subject to the jurisdiction of Wetland Protection Act or any municipal wetlands ordinance by the bylaws of the town of Granby with regards to a proposed new single-family house to be located on School Street and known as map 15-B-13 in the town of Granby. So, Mr. Walker, you're in the room. I don't know if you have anything you'd like to say at this time?
Nothing much more than, we did a land walk, with Janice.
Yeah,
And was it you there, David, as well?
I was there also.
Yep.
I was the one holding the smart end of the tape measure.
You pulled the short straw, I guess.
That's right.
So
So I think, if just to help along, what we found is the drawing that you provided with the 200-foot buffer mark was, the 200-foot marker was clearly marked on site. And when we took the tape measure, we were able to confirm that that marker was in fact 200 feet. Actually, from our calculation, a little beyond 200 feet, but we'll take the 200-foot marker that is shown there. And your new house is proposed to be well beyond the 200-foot marker. And is that correct?
Yeah, I agree with all that.
Yeah. So I think, if I can, Jan, I think you did make a recommendation that if you could, Matt, if you could memorialize the marker a little bit better, the 200-foot marker, to make sure none of the construction crews or anybody would violate that boundary. I think the progress on your house shouldn't really bother that boundary line, but if you could have some way memorialize it. Is that, Jan, is that accurate?
I think so, yes. And Matt sent a couple of photos today that Kathy forwarded that shows the 200-foot line. The rest of the parcel, it just barely extends into the field further away from the house. So he's got that marked, but now I guess it's up to you guys what you want to have him do for better monumentation or identification of that boundary for the construction time, especially.
Bill, what we found when we looked at the site is relatively flat. It's been lumbered where the house is going to be placed has been cleared, and it's a relatively flat site to the wetland, which is it's a wetland to the Turkey Hill Brook. And again, as Steve Riberty was just talking about over on Chicopee Street, the edge of wetland is pretty obvious because it's a significant drop. In this case, it was, I think, 2 to 3 feet, not more than 4 feet at least in any location. And there were a number of cattails in that area. So that's the line that we took. And I think we even saw an older flag, didn't we, Jan?
Yeah, I think so.
In that area. So
yep.
that's where we measured from. And it's pretty flat out to that 200-foot buffer.
I've got a question for Dave and Jan. Was the river channel very well defined, or was it a flat delta-like channel?
It's a flat flooded area. And so what we did was we used that edge of wetland, which was flooded as the mean annual high water line, because it looks like that's where we'll flood several times in the spring and whenever there's high water. So did use that for the 200-foot riverfront.
Okay, good. That's a good conservative assumption. Well done. Yeah. Very, very good. Very good.
Yeah. We couldn't see the actual brook. That was far away into the in the reeds, but we did see standing water. So what Jan is saying is I agree with what she said.
And Heritage had already marked, and with some orange flagging, their 200-foot, and it agreed, like Dave said, it agreed with what we were doing, marching through the woods, trying to march over and under and around the fallen trees.
Good.
I guess, Janice, your question to us is, do we want to make any permanent boundaries or something like that along the 200-foot permanent border? Is that what you're asking? Or
I don't know, maybe just during the construction period. So whether it's some kind of like that orange construction fence, or whether it's just more clear marking, or whatever you guys think, just so that for people who are going to be working on the site, that they're not storing materials, dumping, driving back into there in portions or whatever. I don't think they're likely to, but it's not a clear identification if you don't have something there, even just better flagging on posts or something. I don't know.
Do you have an opinion on that, Bill?
If he was required to put monumentation, say on 30 or 50-foot centers, how many lineal feet of riverfront or wetland would need to be monumented?
Well, we're not anywhere near the riverfront or wetland. We're 200 feet away from it. So you're literally talking an edge of forest. And where the forest is, as Janice correctly pointed out, it's very difficult to walk in that area.
Mhm.
So what's cleared is where the house will be. And I don't have a drawing in front of me, but well, I do actually. But the house is it's a decent distance from where that boundary would be. Now, the drawing that was prepared that Janice refers to by Heritage Land Surveyors does show some grading around the house, which intimates that there'll be a hill sliding, the house will be up on a bit of a rise, and there will be a grade down to this border. So I don't know if it would be as simple as, let's put a little bit of a silt fence, straw wattle, something like that, that if you're going to be building up the house and putting it on a bit of a mound, maybe to make the septic system work better, then at the base of that new rise, you would put some sort of a siltation fence or straw wattle or something.
Or how about some simple posts with signage that says wetland resource area? And I think there's some fairly nice looking signs available from these sign companies, which would illustrate that. And that'd be a heck of a lot easier to put in than, again, unless we really need the silt fence or the wattles, I would prefer not to do that. But I would prefer something to go in so that 20 years down the road, someone inadvertently doesn't go in there and start pulling logs out of the riverfront area.
Right. Well, I think that's already happened, Bill, number one. And number two, the drawing that Matt submitted actually shows straw wattles along that 200-foot boundary.
Okay, well,
200-foot buffer.
well, he could put the wattles in and just leave them there. They'd have to stay there permanently. If Matt would be okay with that.
I don't know.
I can't see any reason. Matt, you would have no good reason to pull those out at any time. You could just leave them there permanently.
The straw wattles, you're saying?
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, but don't they dissolve and you're just left with a plastic ribbon on the ground?
Well, again, that's another kettle of fish, whether we're going to require the geofabric wattles or we would permit the polypropylene or the polyethylene netting wattles, which I frankly do not like at all.
Okay. Well, the drawing shows a 8-inch straw wattle or a fiber log erosion control system at the base of this rise. So the question is that adequate for the purposes Jan is bringing up? Or Bill, you're suggesting putting some stakes in the ground that'll just show you're entering a 200-foot riverfront resource area.
Yeah, again, if they're using the 8-inch wattles that are filled into polypropylene or polyethylene bags, I don't like those at all because, as you know, the straw or hay component will dissolve. And you'll end up with this horrible netting which capture critters, and it's just not a good situation.
Well, you hit it with a lawnmower, it makes a mess.
Well, yeah. Jan, any opinion on options for Matt?
I don't know, other than I see what Dave is saying about there is going to be grading right at that 200-foot buffer or riverfront area line. So it would be good to have some kind of actual erosion control, whether it's silt fence or whatever, at least in the area of the proposed grading where the house and septic are going to be installed.
How about a simple literal silt fence rather than a wattle? Just the geofabric silt fence that's staked every 6 feet. Just pound those into the ground, bury the bottom tail 6 inches below grade as standard practice, and just leave that there.
Well, why, at the time the house is complete and the hill is stabilized, couldn't Matt remove the silt fence at that
Well,
point?
he could, he could take that out. But the thing is, once we remove that, we've lost the delineation of the riverfront edge, the 200-foot edge of the riverfront area. So we're kind of back to square one.
Mhm.
Well,
So
then
the
he could do some signage at that point.
Yeah. Again, I like the signage option, but again, there's 2 or 3 different ways we could proceed with this. But the one I don't like is the plastic netting style wattles. I do not like those.
And I think that's what's on the drawing right now, Bill.
Yeah, I think I recommend we not approve that particular method.
Okay. This is an RDA. Do we have any, can we do any opinion here?
Well, we can, but the problem is we'd have to actually do a supplemental site visit to verify silt fence construction. And then, of course, we'd have to charge Matt $75 for a site visit for verification.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's a lot easier and cost effective than requiring an NOI on this. And I think we've agreed we don't really need an NOI on this project.
Right. Matt, do you understand what we're talking about here?
It's not clear if there's been a decision to me at this point, but from what I understand is some kind of silt fence along where the construction's going to be happening, and then are you saying we're going to need another site visit?
No, what we're saying is the drawing you presented, created by Heritage Land Surveyor, shows a straw wattle soil erosion control system at the base of the hill. It's a subtle hill, but a hill nonetheless. It's going to be around the house. So what the engineer was proposing here is you protect the riverfront resource area with this straw wattle. What Bill Shaheen is mentioning is we don't, as a commission, care for these because they create a problem down the road. Sure. He's suggesting that instead of the straw wattle, you would use a silt fence, actually a fiber fence that would be installed and dug into the ground. And then at the time that the construction is complete and the soil has stabilized, meaning the grass is growing and ready to be mowed, that this soil erosion could be removed at that point. And the heartburn that it gives us as a commission is you've now lost the boundary marker. So if you could put some stakes in the ground, just locating where that silt fence, where this 200-foot boundary would be, that would make the commission happy.
So I could plan on replacing the silt fence at the time of stable soil with a nice sign stating riverfront resource area, something like that.
Something to that effect. You wouldn't need many signs, just a couple, I think, just to show where this 200-foot boundary is. And that would, obviously, you're going to know where the boundary is, but any future owners would know that this is the...
That's right. That's exactly the point. See, that's the point. That's the point.
Understood.
So...
That's the point.
Would that be something you would be agreeable to, Matt?
Yep, that sounds just fine, yep.
Okay. How do we memorialize that bill with an RDA?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. There is on a form, a -3, there's a little line on the -3 form, which I trust we do not have in front of us. Janice, are you going to type up the Form 3, please?
Yep.
Okay. In the little line, there's a comment line on -3, which allows commentary. If you could, you'd have to use a very small type to put everything in. But if you could state that they're to use geotextile silt fence, not wattle. And then upon removal of silt fence, install permanent labeled markers, say 100 feet on center. You probably, like Dave says, you probably only need 2 or 3 of them, and we just leave them there in perpetuity.
And with a sign maybe, or just something, some little.
Oh, yeah, you can,
noting
again,
what it is.
these sign companies have fancy little wetland signs that you can buy, which are very attractive and they're low cost.
Okay, and usually what I do with this is I just, under that little section, just say, see attached page, and then I do a
Okay.
separate page of special
Okay,
conditions.
that's good. That's good. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so it sounds as though we're ready to vote on the RDA.
Yeah. Do you want to make a motion, Bill?
Yes, I would, Dave. Thank you. I move we issue a -3 with the commentary that we just highlighted.
Okay. Dave D will second this.
Okay, let's see if, Kevin, any comments on this?
No comments.
Okay, let's see, let me just see if Amanda's here. Nope, Amanda, her system went down, so Amanda's offline right now. Janice, any other comments on your side?
Nope, and I tried emailing Amanda asking if she could get back on, but I haven't gotten a reply. She's probably
Okay,
given up.
Yeah, because I've been chatting with her a little bit, and the last thing I got from her was at 7:36 p.m., and I guess her signal went out. Okay, so nothing heard. All in favor of issuing a -3 with the comments, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Opposition? None heard. Okay, we're all approved. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Great, thank you, guys. Am I free to move forward with the building permit?
Yes, sir.
I think Bill will talk to Greg Briggs on that for you.
Yeah, in fact, this might be Amanda right now. Yeah, I'll talk to Greg. I'll advise Greg. And Janice is gonna have to get this out in short order too.
Yeah. Very well, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Can I move on to 51 Forge Pond Bill? Oops, I lost Bill.
We're slowly losing everybody, Dave.
Well, I'm going to speak it into the record because Alexandra is in the room, so I don't, and as long as you don't leave, Jan, we're okay. Well, Kevin is still in the room.
Yes, good.
So anyway, let me start. This is a continuation, GCC 22-02. It's an RDA. Actually, should that be filed as an NOI, Jan?
No, it's an RDA, but I'm not sure it's actually continued. She just Kathy put it under the same number as the previous one that was withdrawn. So in a sense, it's continued. I don't, whatever.
Okay.
But
in a sense, yeah, it's an RDA. So this is filed by Alexandra Ponomareva. To see whether work depicted on plans or the maps referenced are subject to jurisdictional review of the Wetlands Protection Act with regards to property located at 51 Forge Pond Road and known as map 14C, lot A14 in the town of Granby. And I see Alexandra here in the room. So do you have anything to add, Alexandra? Because I was going to describe my site visit with your family.
Do we have anything to add?
No.
Okay.
Were other people, other members able to do a site visit that weekend? I didn't get any calls, so I wasn't sure.
I don't know, Janice, or I know Amanda had asked if she could drive by, but she would call first.
And Ed stopped by on what
I
Friday?
apologize. Alexander, I apologize. I attempted to make the trip, but I had trouble negotiating the the roadway down to your home, so I had to actually turn around. So I think
Oh,
Dave was
okay.
there on Saturday morning.
No worries. Hi.
So anyway, on June 4th, I attended, there we are, that's Alexandra.
Hello.
What's your name, sir? I didn't write your name down, and I forgot it.
Dante?
Okay. Thank you.
Dante.
Yep. I knew it was a different name, and I had him down as Nate, and I didn't think that was correct. So, and it's Victor, your dad?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I had a nice conversation with him before you arrived, so. But I had a good site visit. I inspected the property for the RDA, removing debris. I took a number of photographs, and unfortunately, I have some corruption going on in my phone, and I've not been able to download any of the photographs that I took. So it's very disappointing. The erosion control that's shown on the map that has been distributed and is part of the RDA has not been installed yet, but we spoke of areas that maybe it's not necessary. This is actually a peninsula that sticks into Forge Pond, and as you go farther out on the peninsula, the ground actually rises up. So you wouldn't need to put a silt fence uphill of the project, especially if the land continues to go uphill beyond it, which is what it would be. So what is critically important, and I'm questioning the value of it, is the house placement and the debris, which I show clearly in the photographs. I'm sorry I can't share, but the silt fence needs to be placed literally at the bank of the pond. And there'll be very little work area or walkable, area to work in on the working side of that pond. So, but I don't know of any other solution to protect the pond, which is the most critical aspect of this. Nothing can happen until the silt fence gets installed, I know. Bill, do you have a question?
Yeah, the question I had, Dave, is they have their 30-yard dumpster. Is it marked out on the plan where it's going to go?
This is right in front of the garage, which is existing. So it's very easy. I parked my car in that particular area.
Okay.
So
okay.
it's easily identifiable if you're there. That's an open gravel parking lot. That's in front of the garage. So,
okay.
But the garage has some damage to it, but the house is really what needs to be removed.
Okay, so the garage will stay.
Yes, the garage stays as is, and the house basically is a total loss, and it has fallen into the foundation, into the basement, which is a shallow basement. It's a roughly the entire house is in the basement at this point, so it has to be cleared before you can do any meaningful inspection of the foundation walls.
Okay, so let's cut to the chase then. It's a buffer zone project. I think a -3 is in order. If we issue a -3 tonight, they can begin their work immediately.
I think that's what we need to do for them.
Okay, Alexander, is that what you'd like to start immediately on this?
Yes.
Okay, folks, I think we've reviewed this a couple of other times, so I don't think we need to say too much more. Again, Dave, a point well taken, relocating the silt fence to allow folks to move around, removing debris. Again, the objective is to keep the debris out of the pond. So I move that we issue a -3 on this.
Okay. Dave will second that.
Okay, so other commissioners, Kevin, any comments on this project?
No comments.
Okay, Amanda, are you here? Okay, Janice, any other comments?
Nope.
Okay, Alexandra, any comments on your side?
So, as far as kind of redoing the silt fence, is that something we should submit to you before? Or is that gonna work?
Yeah, Dave, can you maybe give them verbal instructions what to do with the silt fence so they don't have to do it?
The drawing that was submitted with the RDA is a very extensive silt fence plan, basically enveloping the entire project site. And what Dante and I spoke of, and he actually presented a plan to me that shows a little bit less silt fence. But in the critical areas around the house, especially around the house to the Forge Pond on both sides, those silt fence areas stay in place. So I think the most critical area is where the house is located, where the debris needs to be removed. As you move towards the mainland where the gravel driveway is, that's all stabilized at this point. You're not going to be doing any disturbing. That's a gravel flat surface, and it is a couple feet above. It looks to be, well, it's about 2 feet above the water line at that point. But it's flat and it won't be disturbed, and it's a gravel site. So my recommendation was you wouldn't need a silt fence there. It's already heavily vegetated too. So, but
So
I think
we don't need a written submission to you guys before?
well,
I'm just wondering how to expedite this without going through another formal round.
Can somebody
we're doing
draw
an
on the
RDA here, right? An RDA with the negative declaration where we can put a simple commentary together, and I can attach the drawing that Dante gave me to that commentary. And that will memorialize, and that still has more silt fence than I recommend, but
Okay.
But he's already done a good job identifying where we need the silt fence. So we can attach it to the document Janice will prepare and put the drawing with it, and that will be golden. If that's okay, Dante.
No, that's okay, and I want to clarify that drawing that they gave to you that day is a drawing that everybody should have, and it's part of the RDA, that
That is
the drawing, everybody.
Okay. Well, then I'm looking at an older drawing then, I guess, so that's perfect. That's perfect.
I only have one that shows all around the entire property.
Yeah, that's the one I have too. Janice,
All right, so what we're gonna do then, we're gonna issue the -3 RDA or the DOA, which goes with the RDA, and we'll attach an addendum, a hand-drawn, red-lined, whatever you want to call it, Dave, red-line the drawing as necessary to essentially minimize the amount of silt fence and still maintain what we're trying to accomplish.
Protection, correct.
So
Okay.
maybe Dave, either get the copy of the plan you're talking about from Dante, or else just mark up the one that we have outlining in bold or something, the area of the silt fence that's to remain, something like that. Is that what you're gonna do?
I can do either way, Janice. The drawing that we are looking at was created on April 25th, and the one Dante gave me was April 27th, so it's a couple days different. And I have that with me, and I can get this to you.
Okay, good.
Ideally, it would be nice digitally, but I can get this to you.
Okay.
If nothing else, by snail mail. But I think we're going to see each other before then. So
Yeah. Or do you have a way of scanning it or not?
no, not this. It's a little bit bigger drawing. It's not 8.5 by 11. So.
Okay.
But it's a very nice drawing that Dante prepared, and I think it should belong to the RDA.
Okay.
It is the same one that we emailed in their last, and I can email it to you again if you'd like.
Is it the same one?
It's the same one that was our latest submission, the official RDA application.
All right. Well, then, Jan, we should have it.
Yeah, the one that we had before was something we sent to you, Janice. I think we were talking about. We were getting your opinion.
Yep.
Okay.
Right before the meeting.
The date you want to look at, Janice, is April 27, 4/27/22. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I only have a 4/25/22.
Okay, I'll send you the updated, that should be with them.
Great.
Okay. Now, on the RDA paperwork, Janice, can you get these two RDAs? You got Mr. Walker and you've got Alexandra. Can you get these out in the next week, do you think, both of these?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
I'll
please, yeah.
get 'em out. I'll try to get them out before the end of the week to Kathy, and then I just need to get signatures from, well, it's just 3 of you, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, folks, well, I'm excited that you're gonna start moving ahead with your project. That's wonderful. Sorry for the delay.
For the sake of technical, Bill, could we just have a simple vote? We've already got the motion and it's been seconded. We had a little bit of discussion. And
Oh, yes.
can we have
All in favor of approving a -3, subject to the amended, silt fence sketch? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Kevin? Okay.
Okay,
Unanimous.
Kevin's vote?
I wrote down Kevin's unanimous.
Thank
Okay,
you.
very good. Okay, folks, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
See you again. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Okay.
Okay, now we're moving. We're trying to get out of here in a couple more minutes, Bill.
Beautiful.
The next one is a continuation. I don't know if anybody's in the room, but it's the GCC 21-09. It's the ANRAD project, DEP number is 165-0351. It's filed by Triad Alpha Partners, LLC, to see whether work and boundaries of resource areas depicted on plans and/or maps referenced are accurately delineated with regards to property located at New Ludlow Road and known as map 5-D-1 and D-1-1 in the town of Granby. So,
Mr.
We
Miller's
have
here
Mr.
for
Miller
that.
here
Mr.
from
Miller?
Alpha Delta.
Hi. Good evening. Jonathan Miller from Triad Alpha Partners. I'm happy to report tonight that we have retained a new consultant, David Cameron of Fleetwood Environmental. And, we actually went back to the site with David, and, we looked at the areas that were delineated. Unfortunately, the flags, did not seem to correlate or reflect what was in the ANRAD, based on the numbering. So right now we're working on getting a surveyor to go back out so that we can, accurately depict and then refile the ANRAD. Essentially, while we were out there, we realized that there were several areas that looked like they were within, the last 5 years or so in terms of an agricultural use. That included current drainage ditches and access roads. So most likely we will be refiling an ANRAD for the commission and then, be in contact with LEC. We obviously don't want to waste anyone's time and have them go out there with an accurately delineated resource areas.
Okay, Jonathan, thanks for the update. And you're hiring Mr. Cameron, very good fellow. And again, I feel badly that you had to dismiss your original consultant. I thought it's just unfathomable to me that happened. But again, things happen, I guess. But hopefully you can get this project moving in the right direction. But thank you for attending tonight.
Thank you all, and apologies again for the delay. Like you say, we feel in very good hands with Mr. Cameron, and look forward to being back and refiling.
Wonderful. Thank you. Again, any other comments from Commission for John Miller?
Well, my only comment is, Mr. Miller, would you expect to be able to attend the next meeting scheduled for July 12th?
I'm not sure whether or not we'll have a completed ANRAD. We're definitely going to try, the transfer of the CAD information is right now sort of what's holding things up. So once we have that, we should have a better timeline. But I will definitely be back next meeting to give a comprehensive update at the very least.
All right. Well, that's what's important. So maybe with that, Bill, if we could have a motion to continue this project to the next meeting?
I do. I move that we continue the ANRAD at the end of South Street until July.
Okay, Dave will second it.
Any discussion? One thing, Jonathan, just to expedite your project, I'm also a member of the Health Department, the Board of Health in town. Have you approached the Board of Health with respect to water supply and or septic system issues yet?
We have not. We have done a perk test on site, but we have not approached the Board of Health.
Yeah, I would strongly recommend that you approach the Board of Health to try to dovetail both of those permits, because I think doing them sequentially, though I guess it's easier to do it that way, it might be actually more time effective to do concurrent permitting, if you would. So at least start to discuss the needs of your facilities with the Health Department. I strongly recommend you do that.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for the suggestion.
Okay, thank
We
you.
will definitely
Okay,
reach out.
again, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None heard. Thank you. Jonathan, thank you. We'll see you next month.
Thank you very much. See you then.
Thank you.
Janice, we don't have anybody else on our public hearing portion, so is it all right if I close the public hearing portion of this meeting?
Well, I don't know if there's a public hearing part, but I just would like to get my bills approved, so before the meeting ends, yes.
That's the administrative portion. I thought that's not.
Oh,
public,
okay.
is it?
Oh, okay. That's correct.
We do have other business, and we were talking about any word from Mr. Bernier regarding our 7 Phillip Drive. Any word from them yet?
Nothing.
Again, I drove by the house last week because I have a buddy of mine lives down the street there, and I did not see the birdhouses reinstalled.
They're still lying in the ground bill, huh?
I think so.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay, site visits, Jan, I guess we will talk about any future site visits. I'll just carry the ones we have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because we had a number of them shown. We had a Dufresne walk and cutting plan, obviously 7 Phillips Circle, the ANRAD we're talking about here, 51 Forge Pond. I don't know if we would want to schedule anything beyond what I accomplished. Could we take that one off the site visits? The 51 Forge Pond? Janice?
I guess it's up to Bill. Yeah.
Well, that's Alexander Pomereva, right?
Yes.
That's the one we were just talking about.
Oh, yeah. Take it off the site visit list at this time.
Okay. The same with 7 Phillips Circle. We've already done that site visit also. I could take that off as well, correct?
Well, the problem with 7 Phillip is there's a deficiency and they haven't corrected the deficiency yet.
Oh, we need to check that. Okay.
Yeah.
19 Deerbrook Drive. Jan, we haven't heard from Mr. The guy with the new baby.
Right. Yeah, so I'll try getting him back in touch with him and seeing if everything's settled down enough that he wants company yet or not.
Yeah. And then lot 1, Mr. Walker on School Street, we did that, so I think I could take that off of the list.
Yes.
And we haven't done any gravel pits yet this year.
No, I'm gonna ask Kathy about it when they come in, to let us know.
Okay. The next thing we were about ready to tackle was approving the May meeting minutes. Sorry, it's a 6-page document. I apologize for that. But I appreciate your help, Janice and Bill. You both helped me out a lot. I'm sorry we got into a bit of a tussle, Jan. I feel I don't like doing things via email. It would have been better if we could have talked about it over the phone. But
I know.
One question I have: would it be possible? I still want to do the emails. I'm sorry, the meeting minutes. But could you provide me your notes earlier?
I could try, but there's a real scribble.
Oh, I'm the chair of another meeting and I have somebody take notes for me and I can handle scribbles pretty well.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, Janice, just take a photo of your scribbled notes, send them to Dave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That way you don't have to retranscribe them.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to rewrite them.
I'll scan them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
That's the efficient way to do it.
So, do we have any comments? I did absorb your comments, Janice.
I know you did.
And
Thank you.
Bill.
That's very kind.
I don't know if anybody, I don't know, Kevin, if you have any comments you want to add?
Yeah, I sent you an email a little while ago with the guests, the visitors we had today at the library.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
For the minute.
I'm just looking at it now.
Yeah, we want to identify the visitors properly.
That's important.
Yeah, sorry, there's 2 emails. There was some scribbly,
All right.
scribbly handwriting.
I'm sorry, Kevin, you're going in and out. I can't hear you.
I was just apologizing for the second email because the handwriting was not very easy to make out.
Well, again, I'm pretty good at that. Sorry for the confusion. No problem. I think we've got it. Yeah, no, I couldn't get Prignano, but when he used his phone, it was perfect.
Yep,
His
we was.
His name appeared on the screen. So, Bill, I haven't heard any comments. Can I make a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah, yes, I second Dave.
Okay, let me write that down. Any further comments from anybody? And with that, could I ask all those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's a unanimous vote. I'm working to achieve your goal, Bill. Sorry.
Thank you.
The next one we have on our list is approving invoices that Jan submitted today regarding her Verizon bill payments. I hope everybody has them in front of them.
In my hours too. This is Verizon and my hours,
Janice,
2 different emails.
could you just read them over the microphone just to memorialize them on the audio if you would.
Okay, I don't have them in front of me. Hold on. If Dave does, he can do it.
Well, I only have your phone. Bill.
Okay. Well, I'll do, now I've got them. I had to pull up my folder. Okay, so starting with the phone, the bill for the Verizon cell phone service for June of 2022, it's $35. She doesn't put the tax in there, so I didn't deal with that. And there's also a bill for the service for May of 2022, last month, and that's also for $35 for the Verizon phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about your work hours, Jan?
Okay, do you want to do this Verizon first and then the other?
Oh, yeah, no, we can do them all together.
We can do them all together, I think.
Okay,
Throw
all
them
right.
together.
So then the April hours were 23.25 hours for that month, for a total of $581.25.
That's $581.25, Jan?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then the hours for May of 2022, 31.5 hours for $787.50.
Okay.
And what month is that?
That first was April and the second was May.
Okay.
Now you've collected January, February, March, and those 3 months?
Well, I've gotten a couple, I think I've gotten 2 checks, as far as I know. So I have to go back and check. I haven't gotten anything for the most recent stuff that Bill signed off on. It must still be going through the process.
Okay, so Dave, make sure we memorialize this very succinctly and make sure, if you'd be so kind, send me another copy of those 4 bills, and then I can write and I'll sign over them referencing tonight's meeting, and I'll send it to Kathy.
Okay, so send,
Janice, I only got the phone bills, so that's why I didn't have but are they all the June 13 date? Because I need a date when I put them into the notes.
yep, they're all June 13.
Okay, that's all I need, and if you send Bill the copy so he
Okay.
can sign them.
Okay, thanks, I will.
Great. All right, I'm all set. And so, do we need to take a formal vote on this again?
Yes, yeah, I move we pay the 2 Verizon bills as stated, the 2, work bills as stated by Janice Stone for the months of April and May 2022.
Yep.
In the amounts as stated by Dave and Janice.
Yep. Dave will second that. I don't think there's any further.
Okay, any other discussion on the hours? Okay, nothing heard? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Okay, you're all set, Janice. Very good, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Very, very good.
Moving down our list here, again, we've not had anything on financial accounts update. There's nothing unless Kevin has something in the room. We usually
Yeah,
don't
actually,
have
Dave, I think I had sent you an email. Again, I think we're kind of up through January and February on our internal ledger. I'd love to be able to start catching up on that internal ledger. So whatever anybody has as to site visits, amounts for the site visits, and check numbers, I can put that in the laundry list, give it to Dave, and then he can collate that into his system.
Okay. I have a record of all the site visits, obviously, that Janice and I have participated on. I don't know if anybody else is doing site visits or anything like that. But
okay, yeah, if you could just send me an abbreviated note, Dave, on that, that'd be great.
Okay, let me do that.
Handwritten sign, nothing fancy.
Kevin, did you have something?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Okay. All right, the next one is Outreach and Education Plant of the Week.
I didn't bother. I just.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna let Kevin handle this one. Kev, I'm at the golf course at Wyckoff. What's your plant of the week or plant of the month at the country club this period?
I guess we can go with the aspen, because it's everywhere.
Is that the cotton in the air?
Oh, it's everywhere.
Really?
Yeah. On the windows and everything.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a last month for pollen, tree pollen.
Oh, yeah.
Very windy.
Deck is yellow.
Okay.
So the aspen, so what are the seeds? What's the discharge from the aspen? It's those cotton balls, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of, ours are passing around here, Kevin. I don't know about your house, but it seems to be going down here.
Slowly but surely.
Yeah, I was out mowing today, and I had my COVID mask on while I was mowing, but I really didn't need it today. The levels are going way down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one thing I did see, folks, just interesting story, is Dave, you probably know there's a neighborhood bobcat or two in the area.
Right.
And I caught the bobcat on 2 security cameras 3 days ago. The last video of which it was walking on the path between my house and my Pachysandra, and the bobcat literally sat down on my front porch stoop next to the front door. He sat there like a statue for about 2 minutes looking out at the street.
Oh.
Yeah, imagine if someone was driving by the house and looked over and saw a bobcat sitting there. You know, you expect to see a cat or a dog, but not a bobcat.
Wow.
That's the mature one, I assume, Bill, the bigger
Oh,
the
yeah, that's the big one. Yeah, that's the good sized one. Yes.
Yeah.
He stands
Wow.
about 30 inches tall at the shoulders. Pretty good sized.
Exactly.
Wow.
Anyway, that's my nature story for the week.
Okay. I've got the next thing here is news and announcements. I saw something that Kathy put out from MAC, but I think that was informational, right, Janice?
I don't know if I saw that, the MACC thing. I only saw the, thing from DEP.
Okay. Well, we can, and I've got the sites documented that we want to schedule, so we can talk about that later. She still has the comment you're dealing with small wetland violations. Is that really the same as number 1 in this area?
Probably, basically.
Yeah, we can delete number 9.
Yep, okay. The last one I'd like to touch on is the correspondence that we received from Mr. Tom Ruskos. He's the Division of Wetlands and Waterways for MassDEP here in the Western Regional Office. And they're warning us that according to state law, when we receive applications from our applicants, they really need to be submitting paper copies. We can't be requesting only a digital copy. So I had crafted some language. Bill and I had a chance to talk about it this afternoon, so I recrafted it and pushed it out to everybody. It's basically the same application procedure we discussed and approved last October, only now I've added, and the language that we've added is in red. But we've specified, according, just like what our DEP law says, that all application documents and follow-up materials need to be submitted by certified mail or hand-delivered to the Conservation Commission at the above address, or the address shown above. And I underline a digital PDF format. So the certified mail, I think, is what we were missing for the hand delivery to Kathy. The other thing I noticed, and I think it's a Janice and me thing, we seem to have 2 conservation title blocks, one with the library and one with the senior center building. I know formally we meet at the library, but they can't deliver anything there. So I think we should, and I don't know, Bill, if you have an opinion on this, but the formal address for the Conservation Commission really should be the senior center building, shouldn't it, on the 2nd floor?
Well, I think one library lane doesn't have a person collecting the mail.
Yeah.
No, it's a closed building.
Yeah, so it has to go to 10B, West State Street, Granby, Mass.
Right.
Okay. All right. I didn't really notice that, and you're right. I hadn't been thinking about it in terms of using it as a return mailing address.
I think where I noticed it, Jan, is the letter that you wrote to Mr. Warren Smith, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Had the library lane address on it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but
I had gotten that from some other older letter. I was looking around to get the letterhead, so I'll correct it.
Okay. So anyway, I've sent that out to everybody. I also added that we do see person-to-person meetings at the old Carnegie Library. But the most important thing about this application, and I think, Bill, you and I spoke about this at the last meeting, the 2 weeks prior to desired meeting date, I don't know if people are really respecting that yet. We still seem to be getting things pretty short order. So,
well, again, that doesn't do us a favor. It doesn't do the client a favor, because we're essentially ill-prepared. If we don't have sufficient time to review paperwork, we enter into a hearing or meeting and we waste time because we're essentially reviewing things for the first time in real time, and that's not efficient.
No.
So we do need to adhere to this kill window where anything that's submitted after the window date goes to the following month's hearing.
Right. So with this conversation, can we approve the language as stated? It basically says that, where does it say it? It's saying I didn't do it correctly. I added 9 copies of all application documents and follow-up material shall be submitted by certified mail or hand-delivered to the Conservation Commission. So I did specify the 9 copies, Bill.
Okay, and again, yeah, the reason for 9 is we have 7 commissioners. Everyone's entitled to their own copy for review.
Right.
And then Janice, of course, gets a copy. And then we have a house copy. That'll be Kathy's copy, which would be maintained at 10B West State Street in the event an abutter or an interested party wants to review the document prior to the hearing. So that's why we need 9 copies. I realize it's a waste of paper, but if people are concerned about using paper, they should learn how to run the computer and learn how to file online.
There you go.
And it's easy enough. EDEP is easy enough to use. It really is.
Yeah.
So in this day and age, the year 2022, I'm hoping 99.9% of the folks do online filing. But those that still resist online filing, and I can appreciate some folks doing that, they're going to have to just file 9 copies of everything.
Right. Well, Bill, doesn't the law mandate that all applicants file paper?
I didn't read it that way. I read it as an option. Janice, what was your interpretation of that?
I believe what he was saying is that you have to allow that option, that you can't require just a digital copy. So I don't know if this sort of meets it or not, because we're still saying, okay, if you want to do paper, you can do paper, but you also have to do a digital copy. In fact, it sounds like this requires 9 paper copies plus a digital copy. And I don't think that's what you meant, right? Didn't you mean either 9 paper copies or digital?
No, we are saying and is very specific. We want a digital copy for sure.
Yeah.
But if you are going to make an application, according to, this wasn't just somebody thinking, they had lawyers get involved and review these various documents, and it has to do specifically with the RDA, the NOI, and the ANRAD. It's just those 3 applications that really need to have this certified mail or hand delivered to the commissioners. So, and Bill is right. I've done this at other commissions when I worked. I always had to make copies of everything. The town never made copies for me. You always had to make copies for everybody that sat on the board. So.
Then how do they get the paper copies to the commissioners? That's what I'm wondering about then. If they all get delivered to Kathy.
It's got to be certified mail or hand delivery to the Conservation Commission. And in our case, that would be Kathy Leonard. And then Kathy would have to distribute it to us.
And how is she going to do that? Is she going to mail them to us?
See, that's another weak link. That's another problem.
Well, in the law that they're citing was in the old days when everybody went to the town hall or wherever the meetings occurred, and all the meetings, all the documents were on a table, and the head guy or the secretary even put them. I've been to so many of these meetings. The documents were in front of each of the commissioners.
That's right.
And they were in order of who's being seen.
That's right.
And I've worked with hospitals and doctors groups, and I've had to do this so many times, it's not funny. So we didn't submit a lot of digital things. I know up in Saratoga, New York, they would actually digitize my work and put it on the screen because in New York, they had a requirement that the people in the room had to also see what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And so the town, the city in that case, took the responsibility to digitize everything and put it on the screen. But
Yeah, in a perfect world, we'd have someone in town hall whose sole duty would be to digitize stuff. But I
Right.
think Kathy is wearing a bunch of hats.
Oh, we can't ask her to do that.
No, we can't ask her to do
It's
that.
not,
And
it's
then,
not, quite honestly, it's not fair for anybody on our side to be doing it either.
that's right. And Dale Clark doesn't have time to do this. So you're right, though, Janice. The point is, if they send 9 copies in and then we're out and about, we don't have time to go to town hall every 2 or 3 days. They're going to have to remail everything to us personally at our residence. And that becomes another arduous task. Whichever way you look at it, it's a very arduous process.
Yeah, and when I read this thing over, I think, so you can say 9 paper copies and a digital, but I think you can also still say, or just a digital copy.
That's right, yeah. Again, the digital, see, that's
So
the
it doesn't
problem.
have to be
If they're gonna do the 9 paper copies, they're not gonna do the digital. That's my gut feeling. They will not do the digital.
Yeah, but if you want a digital copy and they're not providing it, then you can still say, well, you got the 9 paper copies and you have to go scan it at Staples or something and give us a digital copy. But if people don't want to do a paper copy, I thought you were encouraging people to try to just do digital. So you should say, or just a digital PDF format is sufficient. Something like that. You see what I mean? Like you can do paper if you really want to, but you also have to have a digital. Or you can just do digital and not do the paper. We don't necessarily want the paper, right? It's only if the others.
I don't want the paper.
Yeah. So I think you just have to add that's an option.
On the other hand, Janice, some consultants, and I won't mention who they are, would come in with 1 or 2 copies, only 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And the problem, 1 or 2, not everybody has an equal opportunity to review the documents.
Yep. Yeah.
So they're either going to bring 9 copies in or they're going to bring 0 copies in and make everything digital.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think this really, guys, I'm rereading the email that Tom Gruskos said, and I don't think we have much room for a conversation here. They're making it pretty specific that we can't specifically ask for electronic only submission. They're saying that we can't do, and we have to allow people to deliver certified mail. And I think when we say "and," we are saying you have to, if they don't want to, in other words, what we're saying is we can accept a digital copy only.
Yes. Yeah.
If they want to give us a paper copy, they have to give us 9.
Yes.
But if they only want to give us a digital copy, we as a commission can accept that. But I don't think we can tell them they only have to do digital. They have, if the applicant has the right to decide what they're going to give us, but we can't say either or. We can only say and.
Yeah, and let's just think about this logistically. A typical NOI is a 50-page document with probably some 24 by 36 plans, okay?
Right, right.
So if they want to go up to Paradise Copy in Northampton, drive all the way up there, spend probably an hour with the Xerox people, Xeroxing all these plan sets, spending probably $5 or $6 a piece for the 36 by 24 plans, and then driving all the way back, and then mailing these to Granby, that's probably going to be, I would anticipate that with between printing costs and labor, that's probably a $200 event right there.
Or more.
Yeah. So if they want to spend $200 of their clients' money rather than digitize things, it's up to them.
But I think, Bill, what we have to put in our application procedure that we put out there for the public, we have to allow them to deliver paper if they want to. And if we are requiring that if you deliver paper, you have to give us 9 copies.
That's right.
But we are also asking for, with the use of "and," we're also asking for a digital PDF format because that's probably what we're going to use in the long run. but it protects us from the consultant that brings 2 paper copies, no digital copy, and now they feel they've got a complete application, and we're going to say, no, you don't have a complete application, because if you're only going to give us paper, we need 9 copies of this paper.
I agree 100%. 100%, Dave.
So the more we're talking about this, I feel the language that we've got currently is what we need to keep, and find out what happened. Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
You're allowed not to agree.
Well, because what DEP is saying is you cannot require digital only.
Right.
Okay? It doesn't say you can't require digital. People want to do digital, that's fine. That's what EDP is. They don't have to do paper copies for that. So you have to allow them to either do paper, could be 9 copies, or digital. That's because technically you can't require anyone to do a digital. Now you can, if you had a bylaw, you could put it under the bylaw that they have to go to copies to Staples.
So again, to clarify, Jan, so I can understand, your point of contention is the use of the word "and."
Yes.
You're thinking it should be "or."
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're saying you can't require them to do digital, but they can do either paper or digital, and and for the most part, we prefer people do digital as long as it gets to us on time. I'm wondering, I know at least before in South Hadley, and I don't know about Hadley, the planning board, the applicants had to send the copies to each of the planning board members or deliver them to them somehow. I don't know if that's always the case.
To their residences?
At least they did that sometimes, but I don't know if I like that idea of everybody knowing our addresses.
I've never done that. Like I said, I had to give multiple copies to the town, and then they distribute.
Okay, so they probably put them in a box for planning board or whatever, and then planning board members come and get it.
Right, that's right.
And that's what we'd have to do then.
I don't feel, before it gets diluted, what Janice is saying, change the word "and" to "or." Is that valid?
I agree. Yeah, that seems to meet the intent of that. And again, and I think it's 310 CMR 4, which I think is the administrative section of 310 CMR. And I agree, it's archaic. It was probably written back in the 1980s. And that regulation has to be changed. Someone in the State House has to propose a change to that regulation.
They don't.
Because it's a pre-COVID. That's a pre-COVID regulation.
Oh yeah, totally.
And we're in the post-COVID world now.
It's 310 CMR 10 is what they're identifying.
Okay, that's the wetland reg, but 310 CMR 4 is the administrative section which goes along with all the 310 regulations, of which there are about there's probably 100 310 CMR regs out there.
Right. Well,
again, it's the timeliness provision, it's the distribution provision, it's the date of hearing provision, it's all the administrative.
We're running over your goal, Bill, of ending by 9. So if you agree, I can change this to "or." I think I agree with Janice. She was able to talk me into it. So I will remove all of the red language and just turn it black, and then send this over to Kathy and ask her to publish it, or put it wherever she puts things, so people can see it.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you for, again, a lot of thought went into this, guys. A lot of thought went into this. Thank you so much.
It's an important piece, because we want to do a good job. I think that's the whole bottom. We want to do a good job for us, and we want to do a good job for the applicant.
Yeah.
Right.
So, all right, with that, I don't have anything else on the agenda. And it is now 9:11. So
I move we adjourn.
I will second that.
All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.